The plane, according to eyewitnesses, had its wheels down, was trying to make an approach to the Montgomery County Air Park.
Let me show you around. Of course, you have the main home with all the damage. We've been told by neighbors that 3 children live in that home, but you heard Pete Parringer, the spokesperson for Montgomery County Fire, say that they do not know who was home at the time.
Immediately I saw the plume of smoke come up. I doubled around, I got into the neighborhood, and just see if anything we could do, but it was just the whole house was engulfed in flames.
We tried to get there. The lady was screaming. There was a kid and there was a lady inside. So we tried to go there, but it was just like, it was a wall of heat.
They are looking at the fuselage of the plane. The NTSB is on scene now investigating. They're going to try to figure out what brought it down. One of the early things they're looking at now is the possibility of a bird strike. There was chatter on the aircraft radio. The pilot of this aircraft on his way from Chapel Hill to here reported that he had difficulty about 4 miles out. 2 miles later, he crashed. And then the house. So this aircraft came down and hit parts of 3 houses, but one of them took the brunt of it and was burst into flames, a fireball of jet fuel. And in that home, a mother, her name Marie Gemmel, and 2 little children, Cole and Devin, both very young. Devin 1.5 months old. And what we know now is that the mother was huddled in an interior bathroom trying to shelter those children. She actually was able to make a phone call. She told her husband what was going on.
Horror and tragedy in Montgomery County.
The house that was on fire, which I now understand, a mother and 2 kids passed away in that, was fully engulfed in flames.
A family and neighbors in shock. The investigation happening now.
Leon, right now investigators remain on the scene combing through what is left of this destroyed home, and you're about to see graphic and gripping video from a man who was among the first on the scene even before first responders. Only moments after arriving at the scene of a home in flames and aircraft debris scattered, Scott Manso felt the power and witnessed the horror that is a plane crash in a neighborhood.
There's one strapped in the seat and one right under the plane.
His voice quivering, Manso did his best to steady his cell phone.
Yeah, I hopped in my car and came because I thought he was going in, saw the smoke.
He says Monday at around 10:45 a.m. he watched in disbelief from a nearby parking lot as the plane struggled to maintain altitude.
And as I'm watching him, he rocks hard over to the left and then very hard over to the right. And I thought, well, that guy could be in trouble.
Seconds later, the twin-engine private jet crashed into homes on Drop Forge Lane, about a mile short of Montgomery County Air Park.
Jumped out of the car, hopped over the fence. That's when I turned on my camcorder. There wasn't a lot of fire around the fuselage, and I was thinking if there was somebody in there, they need to get out.
The plane sliced its way through 3 homes. Investigators say the fuselage came to rest in one front yard. A wing filled with fuel slammed into the home next door, igniting the house on fire.
And it was hot. I mean, I'm standing over at the neighbor's house, and it was really hot, so anybody in that house would have been in trouble.
Officials say Marie Gemmel, her young sons, Cole and Devin, as seen here on Facebook, were found huddled near each other in an upstairs bedroom where they tried but could not find refuge.
Our mission is to find out not only what happened, but why it happened, because we want to make sure that something like this never happens again.
We're told at about 11:15 this morning, a series of 911 calls about an active shooter in the food court area. Witnesses say they heard at least 4 gunshots.
Actually, I don't even know if I have any thoughts right now. It's just so unbelievable that, you just come out to go shopping and all this can happen so quickly.
Heavily armed officers going into the building. We know the SWAT team is in there working to clear the mall. They're going to go store to store. They're going to go into the Apple store. They're going to say, is anybody here? It's the police. Come out.
Live from the ABC 7 Broadcast Center, this is ABC 7 Breaking News.
A normal day at the mall changes within seconds.
And people started running, and they said somebody's down there and he's got a gun. And I heard at least 8 to 10 gunshots.
Store employees and customers scrambled to take cover.
We got customers that were out front and hid near the office, behind the wall.
When it was all over, 3 people were dead, as strangers caught in the violence wonder why it had to come to this.
Lots of tears and just the emotion. I'm thinking about
about my husband, my kids. It's like something you see on TV. It doesn't seem real.
And tonight we've learned that 2 of the people killed in today's mall shooting were employees at Zoomies, a skate shop that's located on the upper level of the Columbia Mall. They've been identified as 25-year-old Tyler Johnson of Ellicott City and 21-year-old Brianna Benlolo of College Park. The shooter has not been identified at this point. The mall has been cleared and remains closed at this hour. We want to give you a live look from News Chopper 7 over the scene right now. Howard County Police say they found a shotgun and ammunition beside the suspected shooter. Tonight we have team coverage of the investigation and eyewitness account. We're going to start with Maryland Bureau Chief Brad Bell, who's been on the scene all day in Columbia. Brad.
Well, I tell you, when this happened, the mall was packed. Hundreds, if not thousands of people were inside. At this point, many of them were sheltering in place. At this point, they have all been removed from the mall, but the entirety of the mall remains a crime scene, even though the focus is on one store in the upper level above the food court.
Check with everybody, make sure everybody's okay as they come out.
This cell phone video shows the frantic moments as a group of mall patrons and workers, some with hands in the air, makes it to safety.
I'm just glad to be out and be safe.
Like many, she'd heard the gunfire.
It was loud. It was big. It was a big noise.
It was so close, you knew that they was gunshots. Maybe like pop, pop, pop.
She was just a few stores away from the Zoomies skate shop on the second level of the mall, where the shooting happened at about 11:15 a.m. Witnesses say a man with a shotgun first shot a female employee, then a male worker, before turning the gun on himself.
I thought it would be empty, so I'm really surprised and glad.
This was Renee Martin's first glance at Columbia Mall.
Yeah, look at all these news trucks.
Coming back to the Cavallero hair salon and an outpouring of emotion.
Are you okay? Oh, I'm great.
Where Saturday she heard a loud noise right there from across the hall.
I heard bang, and I said, yeah, you know, it's a shame. These days, when you hear a noise like that, you immediately think, and then we heard bang, bang, and then we both knew it was the shooter.
Martin was among hundreds, maybe thousands of shoppers who returned here today.
There's kind of like a bitter sense in the air.
Although the Zoomies shop is now sealed off,
Can I get a foot long?
many are determined to shop and eat and be normal again.
I'm not going to let something like this stop me from coming here again.
We were running out together.
But Martin, who went back today to get her coat, got a surprise.
I came back today and ran into Renee, my new friend for life.
That's Stephanie Keller, who returned to get her purse and ran into Martin, who, amid the panic and fear Saturday, gave her a car ride.
She didn't hesitate. She took me in.
And something else from both Martin and the salon employees, courage.
They're heroes, and their bravery helps me feel it's comfortable. It's fine to come into a mall in suburban Columbia again.
A friendship forged in fear and a random act of kindness.
So you're looking at women who are now friends, and you're looking at a good Samaritan who took a stranger into her car and took her to safety.
And yes, the 2 women say they will be back.
I'm going to give you a hug and a kiss.
Oh, sweetie.
Thank you.
So glad to see you again.
In Columbia, Richard Reeve.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
News Channel 8.
Okay, we're going to get to that if you want to ask that.
Eric, this interview is over. This interview is over. Let's go. Now.
Eric, I'm giving you the opportunity to set the record straight, to clear up why these things happened.
Eric.
Okay.
We were trying to ask Eric Haas about a series of complaints to 7 on Your Side and at least 10 to the Better Business Bureau about his deck resurfacing company, Deck Daddy. The woman is his lawyer, 210 to Win, who set up our meeting and is now desperately trying to end it.
We need to stop taping for a second. We need to walk. I need to talk to you. Come on.
This started in April with Alan Rector's deck.
Another area where it's just completely peeled up.
He hired Deck Daddy to resurface it, but says the work was subpar. And Rector says Deck Daddy overcharged him.
Told him to put $2,000 on the credit card, and then they had a check for the balance of the $4,365. Instead of $2,000, they put the full balance on my credit card as well as cash in the check.
I didn't get anything except a 2-month runaround.
Cheryl Galt, a widowed mother of 3, says the work she paid for never got done. Adding Haas repeatedly promised a refund, but it didn't come until she mentioned 7 on Your Side.
I immediately started getting text messages back. Immediately. I mean, the timestamps on the text messages are immediate. I'll get you your refund, you know.
They're an empty shell.
Charles Cole gave Deck Daddy a $1,700 down payment. A crew power washed his deck, marked some boards with white paint, and never returned. He hired the company after visiting their website.
Better Business Bureau logo there.
But don't believe the logo or the claim they've got an A+. Ed Johnson from the BBB.
They're not accredited. They have an F rating with us. You can't get any worse than that.
Why was your website claiming you were a member and accredited by the BBB?
The website doesn't say that.
The website did as of the end of May. That's taken from your website. Why did it say that?
It does not say that.
But you can see, it did say that. We tried to ask him again.
This interview is over. This interview is over.
So then why are you talking to me?
Let's go. Let's go.
You want to talk to me outside, or are we leaving?
Let's go. Let's talk. I need to talk to you right now.
Eric, why was this on your website?
Eric,
I mean, this is
Eric,
a simple question to answer. Was this a
Eric,
mistake?
Eric, this interview is over. Eric.
Yeah, the answer is yes, it was a mistake.
Documents show Maryland's Home Improvement Commission is launching an investigation after receiving 8 complaints. State law requires contractors to be licensed. In March, the commission says it sent Deck Daddy a cease and desist order for advertising without a license. And these Deck Daddy contracts list a license number belonging to a different company. Who are you licensed with in Maryland? What agency in Maryland are you licensed with?
My partner, Elaine Monet.
Your partner, Leigh Monet, is not a state. I asked you.
No, she has my license. She with her. I have a joint license.
Eric, this interview is over.
The former governor has been very quiet in his previous court appearances, but today he was talking. Anything to say going into court, Governor?
Good morning.
Looking relaxed and with a confident smile, former Governor Bob McDonnell makes his way into federal court without his wife Maureen by his side.
I feel good. Well, I'm glad we're finally going to get a chance to present our defense in court.
10 minutes before the governor's arrival, the former First Lady, surrounded by family and security detail, saying nothing. The McDonnells are facing 14 federal charges alleging they accepted $165,000 in loans and gifts, including private plane rides, expensive clothing, and a Rolex from former Star Scientific CEO Johnny Williams in exchange for helping promote his company in Virginia. The governor and his lawyers maintain he never promised Williams anything and took no official state action on his behalf. Feeling optimistic about things, sir?
I've got tremendous lawyers, and I've got faith in God and the justice system, and that's comforting.
And the jury deliberated for some 18 hours, and these verdicts are coming down as we speak. But again, we have the first count and the verdict of guilty of one public corruption charge. Now, our Suzanne Kennedy there in Richmond. Suzanne, have you heard anything else?
No, that is just the beginning. We actually have not had, people are just running out now and bringing out the verdict. We expect it will take some time. There's a 14-count indictment, 26 different charges. Some will be for her, some will be for him, so we are waiting to get the rest of that list. Jeff, just give us a sense of what it was like in there.
Suzanne, this was an absolutely dramatic moment. The McDonnell family, their children in the first 2 rows of the courthouse, just stunned, absolutely in tears as the verdict was being read. And as each time that the word guilty was read by the person in the courtroom, you could hear sort of an audible gasp. And it started with the first count that was read guilty. You heard some of the children crying, and then as each charge went forward and we heard guilty over and over again, the crying was just somewhat uncontrollable, sobbing. The people of Virginia. Leaving court with his son Bobby by his side, a stunned Governor Bob McDonnell says only this after being found guilty of corruption.
My trust remains in the Lord.
After speaking with reporters extensively before and after each day of the trial, at this moment, the governor's final words for the day are for the reporters themselves.
It's okay. Thank you all for the way you've handled this. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
The former governor was found guilty of all 11 corruption charges, including conspiring to defraud voters and fraud charges. Maureen McDonnell was found guilty on 9 counts, 8 corruption charges, and a charge of obstructing a grand jury in relation to returning clothes Johnny Williams bought during their New York City shopping spree. Both McDonnells were found not guilty of falsifying loan applications. They were accused of using the governor's office to promote Johnny Williams' product, Anatoblock, in exchange for nearly $180,000 in gifts and loans.
I think this case sends an important message. The FBI will engage and engage vigorously to any credible allegation of corruption.
In a trial that lasted 5 weeks, the personal and at times embarrassing details of the McDonald's marriage were laid bare for all to see. Defense attorneys arguing the workaholic absent governor could not possibly have conspired with his erratic, difficult wife, who they say had a crush on the charming and slick vitamin salesman. But piece by piece, prosecutors methodically presenting a case of corruption and bribery, that the husband and wife were working hand in hand to sell the prestige and power of the governor's office, to climb out of an enormous hole of debt, and to get a taste of the good life.
We all just cleared exercise.
Police scanners, the only noise cutting through the eerie silence on Main Street, where people stood watching in shock.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little shaky right now.
Shaken after seeing a life snuffed out in an instant. A woman's final moments witnessed by a crowd and captured on a surveillance camera. This footage shows the victim strolling on the sidewalk. Seconds later, as she crosses the street, it's over. A turning bus, the last thing she saw.
The woman fell, went under the bus, and was dragged approximately 20 feet.
First time mad was running over there screaming. I said, hey, 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 hey.
Just knocking on the bus, telling them back up, back up. So then he finally backed up, and after I seen she was laying on the ground, lifeless.
A billowing sheet covered the victim's body as it laid on the pavement for hours. Investigators working around her as they combed the bus for evidence.
We're handling it right now as if it were a crime scene.
With yellow tape strung up to block out bystanders, police stood outside the line speaking with the victim's co-workers, overcome with grief.
Come today, they should be coming today shortly.
Police now piecing together whether what happened was a crime or tragic accident, as strangers stage their own moment of silence.
That's why I see it home along the one.
It's pretty impressive and also a little scary.
Few can remember Rock Creek ever roaring this loud.
I've never seen it go around the fence and then back in.
Hours of pounding rain pushed this DC waterway past its limits.
I saw the parking lot here. I just wanted to pull over and take a look.
Passers-by were lured in like Della White.
It is impressive.
Who was riveted by the rapids.
Exactly. It's the power of Mother Nature.
I hope it falls in and crashes, and I want to see what happens.
For all the fascination onlookers found along Beach Drive, this deluge only brought disgust for residents across town.
When it rains like this, you'll start getting a backup in your basement.
Monica Lester's basement and many others on Kearney Street in Northeast are filled with feet of sewage water. Her downstairs, which serves as a daycare center, she says, is ruined.
Floors have buckled up. I have hardwood floors down there. They're buckled up. It's a mess in my house. It stinks.
And then they told us they can't do anything as long as it's raining. So it's getting higher and higher and higher.
Nature's unforgiving force, offensive to some, thrilling to others, on the day Rock Creek raged.
Who was Marion Barry? Well, he was a civil rights activist who came here from Memphis in the 60s and ended up running the place, elected mayor 4 times. After the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King in 1968 and the massive riots in Washington, Barry emerged here as a high-profile community activist running a black self-help group called Pride Incorporated. From there, he was elected to a less than satisfying school board post.
Because they're reactionary, and you have to just try to figure out how you get some power in this town.
Barry was next elected to city council, and an incident in 1977 rocketed him to prominence. A radical group called the Hanafi Muslims took over the district building, D.C. City Hall, and in the chaos, they shot then at-large council member Marion Barry and news reporter Maurice Williams, who was killed. The city negotiated an end to the takeovers, and Barry survived.
Well, I wish it hadn't rained on our parade, but on the other hand, that's a good luck.
The following year, Barry was elected mayor of Washington, D.C. The early Barry years were marked as a time of progress for D.C. black business that saw its share of city contracts soar from single digits to more than a third.
He guaranteed all D.C. youths who wanted them summer jobs. But by Barry's third term, his administration suffered from daily news stories about his rumored drug use. Then in January 1990, in a video seen round the world, Barry smoked crack cocaine in an FBI sting where they used an old girlfriend, Rashida Moore, and arrested the mayor on drug charges. The next day, a wild scene in front of U.S. District Court as the mayor of the nation's capital, his wife Effie at his side, arrived for arraignment on misdemeanor charges of possession of crack cocaine.
After a 4-month prison sentence, Barry was back in D.C. politics. In '94, re-elected mayor, but the city was in financial chaos. The feds put a control board in charge, and Barry was but a figurehead. He eventually returned to the council representing Ward 8, the city's poorest, but dogged by new scandals involving drugs or women or money, he never regained his original prominence, though for many he would always be D.C.'s mayor for life.
A local man who doesn't even consider himself to be a runner recently competed in a 100-mile race to raise money and awareness for a cause that's very close to his heart.
And our Jay Korf joined him on what would be a remarkable and emotional journey. It's a story you'll see only on 7.
2, 1, go!
Just before dawn last month, hundreds of runners started the Mohican 100-mile trail race in Ohio.
Water's on the right, heat's on the left.
How you feeling? I'm good right now, Jay. I'm good. We killed 4 miles. We got 4 miles down. We got 96 more to go.
Tattoo Tom Mitchell, the Springfield, Virginia man known for his skin markings, is running this 4-loop course with training partner Adam Kathuda for 100 heart-wrenching reasons. Each mile is for a different child who is battling cancer or has died from cancer.
Levi Howard, mile 50. Nico Casabria, mile 51.
The race is a fundraiser for his foundation, Still Brave, which formed after his daughter Shayla died 5 years ago of cancer.
With my daughter, I haven't gotten over it. I haven't pushed past it.
Still Brave supplies non-medical needs like gas cards and groceries to families whose children are battling cancer. Mitchell hopes this race replicates the anger, fear, and pain that comes with cancer. At the halfway point, Mitchell starts to suffer.
It hurts right now to run like this, but I mean, these kids go through worse every single day.
Among those crewing for Tom and Adam, Ellen and Mark Miller. Their daughter Gabriella was the local 10-year-old who, despite fighting cancer, was an outspoken advocate for more pediatric disease research. Mitchell dedicated this race to his dear friend on the day she died last October.
What Tom is doing is unbelievable and amazing, but he's doing it because our daughter's dead.
For Mitchell, lap 3 would be the crack in his inked armor.
I just want to quit. I want to lose.
To make matters worse, Adam dropped out at mile 77. Mitchell feared he could not finish by himself, which led to this outburst.
100-mile races have you run?
I haven't run any.
Please stop saying you know I got it. You don't know I got it.
Somehow Mitchell pushed past his exhaustion. At mile 99, he greeted Gabriella Miller during mile 100, his daughter Shayla. And with only 30 minutes to spare before reaching the race's 32-hour deadline, Tattoo Tom Mitchell crossed the finish line.
As I was running after Adam dropped, I got really scared and I got really lonely. And I said, Gabriella, Shayla, I don't know how this being dead stuff works, but I need your help. Because I can't finish this race by myself. I know I can't finish it by myself. And all of a sudden, people started popping in crossing my path, and they got me across the finish line.
I love you.
Jay Korf, ABC 7 News.
Wow. Wow. Tattoo Tom Mitchell's fundraising goal was $50,000 going in, but you know what? He raised $86,000 for Still Brave Foundation. Wow. Love that.
There are just no words for what he did.
Now that is reality television I think we all need to see more of.
Exactly.
Way to go, Tattoo Tom.
We have a strong team.
Game time is 7 o'clock. Work and traffic usually delay the fun, but no time is wasted.
Chile has played good.
They stretch, catch up.
Germany and Spain. Spain went home.
And practice.
Relax, breathe, in, out. My name is Dominic Hall. I'm from Dominican Republic. Been playing soccer since I was like 9 years old. You have everybody gathered here all in one, playing together with no discrimination. You okay? You okay? I'm sorry. No fighting, it's just the love of the game.
It's love, romance, a multicultural passion.
My name is Faroud Arsanjani, and I'm from Iran. Last I checked, we had representatives from 18 different countries: Israel, Mexico, US, Nigeria, Cameroon, Italy, Croatia, Germany, El Salvador, Honduras, Colombia, Argentina.
That's just one team. And yes, they all live in and around Washington.
Let's go!
My name is Mark Hugo Lopez, and I am of Mexican origin. One of the largest Ethiopian communities in the United States is here in Washington, D.C. The nation's second largest Salvadoran community is also here.
Lopez works for Pew Research. They constantly crunch numbers and look at demographic trends.
And Washington has attracted immigrants from around the world, partly because of its universities, partly because of the presence of organizations like the World Bank.
Germany or Brazil, one of the two.
Back at the Maryland Soccerplex,
be ourselves, man. Be how we know how to play.
The game's second half is about to start.
My name is Bill Amick. I'm from the United States. You know, making fun of each other, cheering each other on, getting better.
Take it, take it, take it. Don't let him shoot it.
My name is Bryce Fomenye. I'm from Cameroon. It's like a second religion in Cameroon.
Stadium lights are brighter. And the fans a bit rowdier. Not the World Cup.
It's my life.
But to these guys,
the nicer one would have been in the goal.
It surely comes close.
This is my field. This is my World Cup stadium.
In Germantown, Maryland. Hatsovella, ABC 7 News.
It's time. It's time.
It's time. We had another choice.
An extra hour of ABC 7 News an hour earlier. ABC 7 News at 4. On your side with an extra hour to see what's trending with your health, your life, your world. An extra hour of news. An extra hour of weather, because Washington, it's time you deserve more. ABC 7 News at 4. Watch tomorrow on your side.
It's time.
On Your Side is more than a slogan.
It's our commitment to you with every story.
Solves problems, helps consumers.
Once I contacted 7 on Your Side, the ball started rolling.
And deserves the unwavering truth.
Stories that help us live better.
Hey there, are you waking up, buddy?
And strive to be better citizens.
I'm so proud of you. So proud.
We're proud to be committed to you every day, every story.
We're ABC 7. We're on your side. From Washington, D.C., this is a special Your Voice, Your Future Town Hall. Ferguson, America Reacts.
It is a rally cry born out of anger and now steeped in controversy.
And I'm tired of it!
Around the nation, protesters irate over the death of Michael Brown and clearing of Darren Wilson have halted most of the violence that destroyed businesses and caused chaos.
He got away with murder.
And have resorted to shutting down highways from D.C. to Philly, overtaking shopping malls and transit hubs. The president promising action.
This time will be different is because the President of the United States is deeply invested.
The federal government is now chipping in for body cameras, and Officer Wilson has turned in his badge.
I mean, you think they would accept me? You think it'd be safe for me?
There have been rare moments of healing, but regardless of what really happened on that Missouri street, the issues require more than a quick fix.
I'm much more likely to get shot or get arrested than my friend here.
Race relations, some argue, have taken a significant step back.
We may have lost one round, but the fight is not over.
And now the real challenge, how to eliminate an us versus them mentality, or is the divide simply too great to overcome?
Joining us now for a live roundtable discussion, Professor Michael Eric Dyson, Georgetown University sociology professor, political analyst, and author of a forthcoming book on President Obama and race. Benjamin Crump, attorney who represents the family of Michael Brown and represented the family of Trayvon Martin. Gary McElhaney, former Fraternal Order of Police president and former police commissioner in Maryland. Armstrong Williams, syndicated columnist and entrepreneur. And Jamie Allman, radio talk show host in St. Louis, Missouri.
Hello and good evening, everyone. I'm Leon Harris. Thank you for joining us for this special Your Voice, Your Future town hall, talking tonight about the fallout from Ferguson. Over the next hour, we'll be talking with our panel here about the issues which have triggered protests across the nation and have reignited a debate about race relations in America. Now, remember, you can join our conversation tonight by using the hashtag Your Voice, Your Future. Now, Scott Thuman's going to be in our newsroom tonight following the conversation on social media. He'll be bringing us updates as well as we go along. So let's start with him right now. Scott, bring us up to date on today's developments.
Busy day, Leon. First off, today, Michael Brown's stepfather apologized for his immediate reaction following the announcement when, if you'll recall here in this video, he screamed that people should burn the town down. Of course, more than a dozen buildings were destroyed, and some say he should be charged for inciting the riots. Also, major developments today in New York on an unrelated case, but certainly spurring even more anger. A grand jury has decided not to indict the white police officer who killed Eric Garner by using a chokehold during an arrest for allegedly selling illegal cigarettes. That incident was caught on camera. And now there are worries of even bigger protests, especially in New York and D.C.
What is next for the family? What is it exactly right now that they plan on doing next?
They continue to try to push forward to get something positive out of something so negative. They truly wanted to have the killer of their unarmed son held accountable.
Ferguson is no different than hundreds of cities in this country where there's this dynamic going on right now between law enforcement and the citizens, mistrust on both sides. Okay, both ways. It's now becoming us against them both ways, and that's dangerous.
Now, Scott, what are you seeing?
Yeah, Leon, the emotions that are being expressed there in the studio is certainly being expressed on the streets tonight. And it's, of course, because through social media, people are able to galvanize very quickly. We want to show you the immediate results we're seeing here in Washington, D.C. tonight. Through social media, it was spread that there would be a gathering. Large groups now taking over streets along Connecticut Avenue. Earlier, they were at Vermont and K. Prior to that, 15th near Pennsylvania, right by the White House. They have stopped traffic multiple times, and all of this a way for those passions to be voiced.
Eric Garner, we had a clear tape of this man begging for his life, saying he couldn't breathe. We see the application of the chokehold around his neck, and I'm saying it still didn't turn out. We couldn't even get an indictment returned from a grand jury.
Yeah, but you know what, Dr. Dyson? The video camera isn't the problem. The video isn't broke. It's the system that's broke.
That's my point. So what is the body camera going to do?
We need the body cameras to make it transparent, because without the body cameras, can you imagine the narrative if there were no videos on Eric Garner?
The best thing about college athletics is it teaches you to overcome adversity. It teaches you how to handle hard times and not let the hard times keep you down. It teaches you how to win in the game of life. Let me take you over to Gallaudet University and show you a sign of the times.
To have the privilege to say I can play, or yes, I am a Gallaudet football player, is just something that a lot of kids dream of.
At Gallaudet University, college football is about so much more than college football.
In this uniform, I stand for Gallaudet. I stand for every deaf person in this world.
Gallaudet sits proudly in Northeast Washington. It was founded by Abraham Lincoln in 1864. Gallaudet's mission? To ensure the intellectual and professional advancement of deaf and hard of hearing individuals through American Sign Language and English. And for these young men, football.
All deaf people in the world look at Gallaudet. Gallaudet is the only university in the world for deaf people. So, you know, people are watching us.
It's easy to see, you know, Gallaudet University football program, you know, we can play football, you know. We maybe can't hear a whistle, but our players are no different than other players, you know, on Saturday afternoon, you know.
On one hand, Gallaudet is an up-and-comer, a new kid on the block, following its first ever playoff appearance. But on the other hand, how could a program that lays claim to inventing the huddle, that's right, the huddle, be anything but steeped in tradition?
The huddle started here at Gallaudet. I believe in the late 1890s. There was a quarterback here. They were playing another deaf team, and he was concerned that the defense was kind of stealing their plays. So we just called the group in, come on, get in close, so they could hide the signs. And then it started with that.
They have been playing football at Gallaudet since 1883, but they've never been in this position before.
Right now we have a really big target on our back, and you know, like I'm excited for that. I'm not really used to being a top dog.
That's because last year Gallaudet went 9-1 in the regular season, won its conference title, and brought home the school's very first Division III playoff berth in any men's sport.
Any high school student would rather be sleeping than getting up at 7 and coming over here, but they love it.
The lecture began soon after sunrise.
Just out of curiosity, how many brought your calculator and a pencil?
But Karen Brown's assignment had more to do with opening hearts than textbooks.
Love them, care for them, and see that they get some practical stuff.
Is it good?
Saturday morning, West Springfield High School students paired up with dozens of underprivileged elementary school children to break bread.
Right now we are eating some breakfast.
And embark upon a powerful lesson in compassion.
I feel for them. It's just a lot to go through when you're that young.
It can be awkward for children who have next to nothing, like 6-year-old Nana,
What do I do?
to face an all-you-can-eat breakfast buffet.
That's a lot of gizzard.
We asked him how many times he had a breakfast this big. Each child here bears a significant struggle, not of their making. Most live below the poverty line. Some eat only when at school, while others cope with stress their older buddy could not possibly fathom.
And they don't know what it's like to go hungry or to not have the clothing that we all take advantage of, or a place to sleep.
Did you like going shopping?
Maura Deanna spent this day with Rebecca, a very grateful 7-year-old.
That was the best meal I ever had. So what's your favorite thing to do?
Soft-spoken Angel focused on eating, not chatting, with Abby and Taylor. The 6-year-old recently survived a kidney transplant.
Do you want more French fries?
Finishing up your breakfast, we're going to go shopping.
The next stop, a much-needed trip to Target.
You're going to have $115 to spend.
Older students helped their younger partners shop,
Where is the dresses and t-shirts?
but only for necessities, like shoes
That's cute. Do you like them?
and clothing.
I want this because it has Elsa and Anna and it's a pajama.
Rebecca was set on getting attire from the movie Frozen, her inspiration.
Let it go, can't hold it back anymore.
This event was inspired by immeasurable sorrow. 27 years ago, 19-year-old West Springfield graduate Christy Brown died in a car crash. Her mother, Karen, then started Christy's Christmas to honor a daughter who always thought of others first.
We know it helps the little kids, but the high school one, so many have said it's a life-changing event.
Oh, hey! Tommy Howe and Johnny Cronin chaperoned Nana.
Where to?
Straight.
They maneuvered through the store like long-lost friends.
To see people who are, less fortunate than we are, it's really humbling, and, it makes you kind of, take a step back and see all, that you've been blessed with.
Are you excited for what you got?
After leaving Target, the children thought this memorable day was over. But then walked in the biggest surprise of all.
Merry Christmas!
They all met Santa Claus, who gave each child a stuffed animal and more needed supplies.
Oh, a notebook.
Yeah! So,
what do you think, Nana?
awesome!
As the event came to a close, Nana and many others had a hard time saying goodbye.
It meant the world to me. It's life-changing. I'm remembering this kid. Here you go, Nana.
While the children left with armloads,
This day is the best day ever.
Oh, man. Today was the best.
the teenagers went home with something far more lasting. The lesson learned from Christie's Christmas is that the holiday season is not about getting. It's about giving.
It's very special to see these kids happy for a day.
Jay Korf,
Merry Christmas.
News Channel 8.
Live from the ABC7 Broadcast Center, this is ABC7 News at 5 on your side.
It was a wall of heat, so there was no way in hell that we could get in there.
Hell is the best way to describe that scene. The search for 3 people missing after a plane crashes into a house and explodes into flames ends in tragedy this evening. Within the past half hour, we've learned authorities have located 3 bodies inside that home on Drop Forge Lane.
Now, that is in addition to the 3 people on board the plane that were already confirmed dead. The plane slammed into the home just north of the Montgomery County Air Park.
News Chopper 7 live over the scene of the crash right now. You're seeing here the live pictures. We've got team coverage on the ground for you, covering every aspect of this story. And let's begin now with Maryland Bureau Chief Brad Bell. He's got the latest on the investigation. Brad?
Yeah, Leon, well, they just wrapped up the press conference right over here, and we can show you very quickly right over here. This is the house where that very sad news is confirmed. We just know that a mother and her 2 young children were found deceased in there. The police released the last name. We can tell you that the woman's name is Marie Geller, and she was found deceased in the home just a little while ago. They just couldn't get out. There was too much flame. Additionally, the NTSB is on site. And Ron, if we take another look out here, we can take a look about to the left. That's hard to see, but there's the aircraft is still lying over here in the front yard of this property, just beyond that fire truck. The NTSB did recover the flight data recorders from that aircraft, and they're beginning their investigation. We know one of the things they're going to be looking at is the possibility of a bird strike. This plane had flown from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and it radioed 4 miles out that he was having some difficulty, and it went down within 2 miles. Heading toward the runway at Montgomery Air Park, the business jet is clearly in trouble, just barely above treetops.
It was like going everywhere, like it was everywhere.
If the plane is supposed to be flying like this, it's going like this. It just can't hold its balance. And hearing the engine sound.
She watches in horror as the Embraer EMB 500 jet barrel rolls wing over wing into her neighbor's home at about 10:45 a.m. You can see from this cell phone video the immense fireball as jet fuel consumes the house.
When I was in front of the house, I heard people scream, "Help, help," but I'm not sure it came from the house.
The airplane clips a house and a tree before crashing to earth in that front yard. The wreckage is barely recognizable as an airplane. Firefighters arrive less than 1 minute after the crash. The flames are already so intense, there's nothing they can do.
We are able to confirm that there were 3 people aboard the jet, all of which are confirmed fatalities at this time. We also have 3 unaccounted for residents here on the cul-de-sac.
Firefighters can be seen searching for the mother and her 2 very young daughters in the badly burned home. Family gathers, all desperate for good news.
I see the lady walking around my neighborhood all the time with those kids in the stroller.
Well, tremendous sadness about that. One of these victims, one of the children in the home, we're told was just 1.5 months old. Now, the pilot of the aircraft has been identified by family members. His name is Michael Rosenberg, and the NTSB says one of the things they're going to be looking at is his flight records as well. And I know we're going to have much more on that coming up in the newscast. So, live in Gaithersburg, Brad Bell, ABC 7 News.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Keep us posted. Now, in the moments after the crash, Montgomery County emergency responders shut down Snouffer School Road to traffic all the way from Centerway Road north to Goshen Road. And Fire Chief Stephen Lohr says that we should expect at least part of Snouffer School Road to remain closed through tonight and possibly into tomorrow. So keep that in mind if your commute takes you in or near that area. Audria?
Leon, of course, that limited access to the neighborhood is just part of the impact on the people who call that community home. Kimberly Suiters continues our team coverage tonight live from the scene. Kimberly?
The immediate impact, of course, is the heartbreak of having lost 6 lives here. 3 of them neighbors, 1 of them a newborn baby, another one a 3-year-old child, and then a mother, all gone. So the neighborhood really reeling from that. Also, though, many people saying they thought and feared this could happen living so close to the air park. They say that airplanes fly way too low all of the time, and it's something that they were really fearful of for many years. Let's take a look at some video that we saw earlier in the day when the explosion happened. People witnessed everything because of the time of day that the crash happened. They witnessed the plane having trouble over the road, flying low over the Safeway, and then taking a sharp bank down into the house here. People said they felt the explosion in their homes. Of course, then the smoke and the flames. You could smell the smoke for many, many blocks. Many, many people affected in so many ways.
We got out. Tried to get there. The lady was screaming. There was a kid and there was a lady inside. So we tried to go there, but it was just like, it was a wall of heat. So there was no way in hell that we could get in there.
And I had no idea what had happened. I couldn't tell that there was a plane in front of the house. I just thought, why did this house just all of a sudden have, start to have flames in front of it? So it's pretty scary. I mean, I've never seen anything like that before.
And the hardest part for the people who did survive is that they say even with this devastating impact, they felt like there was literally nothing they could do. Reporting live in Gaithersburg, Kimberly Suiters, ABC 7 News.
Thank you, Kimberly. Just heartbreaking situation there all the way around. And we're also learning more tonight about the people on board that plane who were killed. ABC 7 IT reporter Josie Sturman has been digging through aviation records this afternoon. And Josie, I understand that one of those victims survived an earlier crash near the same airport. What did you learn about that?
Absolutely, Leon. It's unbelievable, but Michael J. Rosenberg was the pilot of a plane that crashed into the trees at the Montgomery County Air Park, the same one back in 2010. His family confirmed that for us exclusively earlier today as we tried to track down who was involved in this crash. They say Rosenberg was an experienced pilot, and tonight they are in shock. Now, Rosenberg's earlier crash was a big one. You're looking at News Chopper 7 footage that was over the scene back in March of 2010. It shows his turboprop buried in the trees and the snow. Now, Rosenberg walked away from that crash, but his plane was destroyed. It was more than $1 million in damage. The Montgomery County Fire Chief says he crashed during landing, and the chief posted photos to his own personal blog 4 years ago. But in this crash, Rosenberg was not as lucky. He was killed. He was a doctor and a CEO of Health Decisions, a North Carolina-based clinical research firm. He was considered distinguished in his field, written up frequently by the local press in his hometown with praise for his innovations. Now, his family, which does live locally here in the D.C. area, says Rosenberg lived in North Carolina and Florida. We know he had an active FAA license and was medically cleared to fly that jet that crashed today in Gaithersburg as recently as past February. Now, Rosenberg is also a licensed flight instructor. His family tells me they are anxious to hear more about what caused this crash. They tell me they are devastated not only by their own personal loss, but by knowing this crash also impacts at least one family on the ground. In the newsroom, Josie Sturman, ABC 7 News.
Okay, Josie, and you know today's crash is at least the 4th deadly crash involving the Montgomery County Air Park in the last 29 years. Richard Reeve is live at the air park tonight with reaction there, including the recent push for change by the airport's neighbors. Rich, what are they saying?
Yeah, Audrey, you can imagine the emotion that's going on here at the air park. This is a very small community. A lot of these pilots know each other. The aviation vendors here, they are all certainly talking about it. In addition, in the neighborhood, about a mile and a half from here, a lot of folks are concerned about planes flying too low.
It is unforgiving when an airplane fails. You don't get a second chance.
There were many somber faces here at the Montgomery County Air Park. Because of the crash, the air park was closed. So staffers and air park vendors watched television coverage of the devastation only a mile and a half away.
This is certainly the worst event that's happened in my experience.
John Klinger is a software engineer who calls the pilots who fly here colleagues. Aviation experts say the Phenom 100 is an extremely reliable aircraft. And Klinger is among those shocked by this crash.
I certainly wasn't aware of the magnitude of the damage and the possible loss of life.
According to air traffic control radio transmissions, there was a strange warning minutes before the crash. We got an unusual amount of birds out here. Can you guys bring out the cannon? Some airports use noise-making devices to scare away wildlife that interferes with departing and arriving aircraft. But then, moments later...
Hey guys, I think that Phenom just came up short. What? Oh, we got a Phenom crash at the end of the runway. Call emergency services.
This has been a fear that the planes coming into and out of the air park, that one day we would have an accident like this.
Rebecca Trupp was among the neighbors who looked on in horror at the crash site. She says there's been a growing concern about planes flying too low above a residential area.
This has been a fear, and, you know, we've tried to talk about maybe readjusting flight patterns and to no avail, and so here we stand today.
And we should tell you that NTSB records show that since 1983 there have been 29 air accidents here. 6 of them were fatal, 3 of them were fatal. 6 people have been killed. A very difficult day here. Live in Gaithersburg, Richard Reeve, ABC 7 News.
Okay, Richard, thank you. Well, you can be sure to count on ABC 7 to bring you any new developments on the breaking news from that plane crash scene as we learn them.
That's right. We'll be back with a live report from the scene for you around 5:30 at this hour and again at 6 p.m. as well. We're also constantly adding new details, new pictures, new video as well, all to our website, WJLA.com.
Still ahead here on ABC 7 News at 5, a pizza delivery driver stabbed to death inside a home. What a new witness says motivated the attack that ended with a man in handcuffs.
Plus, a life lost in a burning home when witnesses say they knew something was wrong.
Plus, the new push from fraternities at the University of Virginia after Rolling Stone apologized for its own article.
If I hadn't begun screaming, the neighbors who had been walking their dog would have just probably kept on going.
And a clue police want you to know about in the search for the men who were accused of attacking 2 women in 2 different parts of Northwest Washington.
Rain headed into the area tonight, maybe a wintry mix. There's an advisory to talk about coming up on ABC 7 News at 5.
2 frightening attacks in Upper Northwest in just a matter of days, both targeting women. The first happened Saturday afternoon on 28th Street Northwest. The second was early yesterday morning on Ingomar Street Northwest. 7 is on your side fighting back with reporter Jennifer Donnellan, who spoke with both the intended victims and what they did to combat their attacker. Jennifer joins us live with the story you will see only on 7 tonight. Jen?
Well, Audrey, it may seem to be a simple thing to do, just scream, right? But when you are face to face with a criminal, oftentimes you can be paralyzed with fear. You can not find your voice. In one case, we've got a woman who's got a guy trying to come into her house. In another case, we've got a woman with her keys, just like we all are doing right now, holiday shopping. He gets the keys. Her purse is in the car. He gets that purse, but she started screaming. Meet 46-year-old Charlotte.
There's nothing else I could do but scream. I have to use everything I've got.
And 75-year-old Mary
was on the ground screaming. Call 911, call 911.
2 women who've never met. Both, though, were sadly the victims of terrifying crimes this weekend in Northwest. And both used the only line of defense they had at their disposal, their vocal cords. Yesterday morning at 7:30, while her 5-year-old son was in the living room, a man walked into Charlotte's backyard on Ingomar Street. She thought it was a contractor. She unlocked the back door, but then she saw the mask. She had no time to lock the door. She needed both hands on the handle.
The intruder outside was trying to open it, shaking the doorknob, trying to open. So for the life of me, I was holding down for my life.
Police credit her screams with his decision to take off. She installed home surveillance today.
Give me your keys and pushed me down.
75-year-old Mary was just coming home around 4:45 Saturday afternoon on 28th Street when 2 men violently pushed her to the ground in front of her house.
So I got as loud as I possibly could.
Those screams, as police said, the men got inside her BMW and were about to steal it.
I was lying there thinking, I've got to get louder, I've got to get louder, because I realized that nobody was coming that I could see.
But a couple was outside and heard her. Police believe that forced the men to bail out of stealing the car, but they do have her purse and everything in it.
And I'll be glad when the locks are changed so that I can finally get some sleep.
So they got her keys, but the locks are now changed. Mary's a little sore and stiff, but she's doing okay. Mentally, she's shaken up. As far as Charlotte inside her home, they've got those new cameras in there, and she said she's no longer going to be answering the door. Both women shaken up, but fortunately, both are okay. For more information on what these guys look like and the cars they were in, go to our website, WJLA.com. Reporting live from Northwest, I'm Jennifer Donnellan, ABC 7 News.
Thank you, Jen. 3 Greek organizations want the University of Virginia to issue an apology and lift the suspension it's placed on fraternity and sorority events on campus after rushing to judgment. Now, this request comes following Rolling Stone magazine's retraction of an article describing an alleged gang rape at a campus fraternity party. The school banned all Greek events after that article was published while it investigated the allegations. Rolling Stone has apologized for discrepancies in that article.
All right, want to get a check of the weather tonight because big changes are coming. Go ahead and try and get home now while you can, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got several hours here through the evening, even, you know, at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, if you have plans to go out for a while, you'll be fine. But later tonight, probably closer to 11 o'clock, midnight, that's when we expect rain to move in. And if you're north and west of the metro area, it could be a wintry mix of snow and sleet. So let's jump to it. First thing is our headline, and that is the winter weather advisory that goes into effect at 9 p.m. through 8 a.m. tomorrow morning in the areas highlighted in our holiday shade of periwinkle all to the north and west of the metro area. So that's the advisory. Most of the area is going to have rain. Now, with that said, as the storm develops and the air is marginally above freezing here and overhead where the precipitation is manufactured, I suppose there could be a couple snowflakes or sleet pellets, but air temperatures expected by and large to stay above freezing. So mostly a rain impact locally, metro area. Farther west, maybe some brief slipping and sliding. Temperatures pretty much pinned in the 30s. They won't move much, maybe drop a couple degrees overnight. The wintry mix again north and west of the metro area, the largest concern through the overnight and through the early part of tomorrow morning's rush hour. Temperatures across the East Coast cold again, all due to high pressure over northern Maine. 8 degrees at Caribou right now, 24 in Burlington, Boston's Logan Airport at 25. Cold air pushes south, and that's a player in this weather pattern. So we've got the cold air in place. The next thing we need is the moisture, and that's starting to develop now with a developing coastal low. As this high moves offshore tonight, that's going to help this system really gain some energy. It's not going to race northward. It's going to move slowly but steadily to the north-northeast the next few days, pull a lot of moisture in, and we think that the heaviest rain from this will be south and east of the metro area towards the lower bay, the eastern shore, south side Virginia, but just enough moisture circulating in the higher elevations to give the wintry mix. Now, as we get through the day tomorrow, I think enough ocean air will get wrapped into the storm that even areas under the advisory now will probably see mostly rain during the day tomorrow. Now, as far as how it may work out, our Futurecast computer model, 9 p.m. tonight, there could be some moisture and some areas of snow or wintry mix just north and west of town later tonight. And then as we get through early tomorrow morning, the rain moves in. The yellow shows the heaviest area, and the areas farther to west, maybe the wintry mix in those areas. The rain continues through the day, could be heavy at times. And again, the computer modeling suggests that perhaps if there's going to be a bullseye of heaviest precipitation, it'll be south and eastern suburbs, lower southern Maryland, northern neck, middle peninsula, parts of the eastern shore, and then the farther north and west you are, the lighter the precipitation will be. So here's the forecast for late tonight. The rain will be developing probably generally in the 11 o'clock hour, moving in from the south and east, mid-30s when you get up, upper 30s by midday with periods of rain. Could be heavy at times again through the day, especially south and east of the city. And the next 7 days shows that after the rain ends tomorrow, we'll see some improvement Wednesday. But here's the deal Wednesday. As the storm moves out, it's going to get mighty windy. It'll be chilly. Can't rule out a few flurries, but we will get some Wednesday sunshine, but the gusty winds will make it feel colder. Things will settle down on Thursday with lighter winds, partly cloudy and chilly weather. Friday, a nice day, and then right through the weekend, a very, very slow warm-up, but at least sunny, cool, seasonable December weather through the weekend and early next week.
Nothing on there. Looks like you forgot to put your little things
it's all
on there.
Just no more storms in the immediate future after this one.
Thank goodness.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Doug.
Coming up here on ABC 7 News at 5, we will take you back to that breaking news unfolding right now in Gaithersburg, where 6 are now confirmed dead after a plane crashes into a home.
Plus, eyewitnesses explain the moment they ran to try and help a family trapped by fire.
It takes a sick mind to do something like that.
Only on 7, family members describe the man killed while delivering a pizza, what police believe motivated the unprovoked attack.
But first, here's what's coming up in prime time right here on ABC 7. A possible motive tonight for the murder of a pizza delivery man inside of a Bowie home.
This comes as we learn more about not only the suspects, Brandon Stevens, but also the victim, Lewis Jordan, an Iraq War veteran. Suzanne Kennedy is live in our newsroom tonight with the details you will see only on 7. Suzanne?
Well, Leon and Oscar, the charging documents in this case outline how the suspect wrongfully accused the Papa John's delivery man of having an affair with his girlfriend and how that fueled his rage to take his life.
He was trying to make ends meet when one of his customers allegedly took his life. Lewis Jordan had delivered pizza for less than a year when police say Brandon Stevens stabbed him to death on Saturday.
It doesn't make sense.
Today, his sisters are trying to figure out how they'll pay for his funeral as they are still in a state of shock.
I'm full of anger. I'm full of hurt.
He was their little brother, a man loved by many.
My brother didn't deserve this because he didn't do anything to anybody. He loved everybody. He was a sweet person, and he would give his last to anybody if he had it.
Court documents outline what happened when Jordan delivered 2 pizzas to Stephen's house Saturday. As the suspect was paying, he accused the delivery man of having an affair with his girlfriend. He attacked Jordan by stabbing him repeatedly, then dragged the victim to a back bedroom. Jordan was an Iraq War veteran. His family feared he might die there. They thought he was safe here at home.
They worried about us getting the phone call at any time then if something happened. Not a phone call that he was just delivering a pizza that someone took his life.
Never in a million years would I expect for him to be at work and something like this happens.
The suspect also handcuffed and threatened to kill his girlfriend, who was there at the time, if she called police. It was only after the victim's co-workers became worried about him that they called police, who went to Jordan's last delivery spot. Reporting live in the newsroom, Suzanne Kennedy, ABC 7 News.
Wow.
Suzanne, thank you. Coming up on ABC 7 News at 5, royalty in America. Prince William strolls through America's capital city today. Just ahead, we'll show you the rare moment captured exclusively by ABC 7 cameras.
Plus, only weeks after 7 on your side helped to get the heat flowing at a local apartment complex. There are more problems emerging there. The new problems and what residents say must happen. Just ahead.
I'm Mike Canine, live in Gaithersburg. It's still a very active scene here, the side of a plane crash that took the lives of 6 people. Coming up, details on the timeline of that NTSB investigation and the status of the black box.
You're watching ABC 7 News at 5 on your side.
New details are emerging tonight about those 6 people killed when a plane crashed into a Gaithersburg home.
And among those killed were a newborn and a 3-year-old. Well, Mike Canine continues our breaking news coverage with the new details that he's just learned at the scene. Mike, what are you hearing there?
Leon, we just learned from the NTSB and local officials, fire and police, saying that there was a mother and the 2 young children whose lives were lost in this tragedy here in Gaithersburg. We're told that the mother and 2 children were found on the 2nd floor of this structure in a room together. We also know, of course, that 3 others' lives were lost on that plane when it crashed here sometime around 10:45 this morning. The NTSB saying that the plane was on a GPS approach to runway 14 at the Montgomery County Air Park. Now NTSB investigators here on scene beginning their fact-finding investigation that could last 3, 5, maybe as long as 7 days. Several families now displaced from their homes. And of course, everyone concerned about the family who's lost 3 lives here on this cul-de-sac.
This is a tragic loss for the Montgomery County community. I am sad to report that they did not survive this event. And at this time, of course, we are beginning the important work of recovering the bodies from this incident and beginning the investigative steps necessary to advance the investigation.
The mother and 2 young children, their lives lost. The youngest child just a month and a half old, a newborn. But the father and older child, a 5-year-old, believed not to be home at the time. They are both accounted for alive tonight. Take a look at the scene behind me. Now that the smoke is cleared and this street is illuminated, you can really get a sense of the damage to the structures. Still a lot of fuselage in front of some of these homes. Investigators saying it appears that the plane struck the first home with a small piercing through the roof. Then the part of the plane crashed into the front door of the 2nd home, and the bulk of the damage to the 3rd home, where those 3 lives were lost, with the wing catapulting over the 3rd house, resulting in all those flames and smoke. Even at this hour, we're still seeing heat, smoke coming off of that structure, with firefighters just moments ago hosing down parts of the upper level. And again, very active crime scene investigators here taking pictures, collecting evidence, and they say in the weeks to come they'll be talking to witnesses and neighbors here, looking at the crew's experience, the crew's training, checking that air traffic control data, and also checking at weather conditions as well. Reporting live in Gaithersburg, Mike Canine, ABC 7 News.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Now, we've got something here, folks, that you really need to see. Video of the plane crash aftermath, and you will see this only here on 7. Scott Manso was at the Safeway near the crash scene when he says that he noticed the plane flying lower than normal, and that's when he ran to his car, and he went to the scene capturing this cell phone video. And in this video, you can see the wreckage, you can see the house on fire there, you see pieces of the plane right next to the children's swing set. Gives you a really good sense of what it was like immediately after that crash.
Yeah, and you could see one of the first responders there walking up and just what looked like sheer panic on his face. Couldn't believe what he was seeing. That video is unbelievable. I cannot believe he got that close.
Falling. Came in real low.
Wow, unbelievable video there. Well, investigators tonight are pouring through mountains of evidence and data to try to figure out what brought this plane down. Of course, one of the first places they will look is to the weather. Chief Meteorologist Doug Hill is here now with what conditions were like the moment the plane lost control. Doug?
Well, the NTSB said today that they will look at weather as one of the factors, but there are no obvious weather causes that we can see, but that's certainly a possibility. I said, take a look first at what we have as our Doppler radar. This was right around the crash time at 11 o'clock. There was a snow shower in areas of flurries, Poolsville to areas just across the river into northern Fairfax County, but nothing immediately. There were some air traffic controlled transmissions that we heard recordings of that people were talking about weather moving into that area. But at the moment, it was cloudy. Temperature reported at the air park at the time of the crash was 30 degrees with a light northeasterly wind at 6. So the investigation into weather as a possibility will continue. Locally, we have our own weather headline, and this is a winter weather advisory, 9 p.m. tonight to 8 a.m. tomorrow, north and west of the metro area, where there could be a wintry mix of snow and sleet and rain. Most of the metro area, the I-95 corridor, a cold rain in our forecast tonight. Rain could be heavy at times in spots tomorrow. We'll talk where those likely spots are and when we'll see some improvement in our pattern in just a few minutes, Autria.
Okay, Doug, thank you. And be sure to stay with ABC 7 for the very latest on this breaking story as it unfolds. We'll have live team coverage coming up right here at 6 p.m., including the moment those on the ground realized something went terribly wrong.